last time we played, in the depths of the machine heart, you finally got some answers. Some insights from Romo about the Dominion, and assurances that he'd remain opposed to the rest of his kin in his goals. Tired and beaten, you then returned to the surface, learning that much had happened in the time you spent underground. The Silver Guardians had changed by Romo's hand, and the Polythreme Guard had begun to return to the lower district. And of course, the sleeping plague had claimed over 10,000 lives, with hundreds of thousands falling into the same coma, coinciding with the timing of Evelyn's death. Of course, turning conjecture into evidence, Evelyn did the only thing that would put the doubt to rest and ended her life one more time. Very quickly, your experiment yielded results, and your death caused another exponential rise in the sleeping plague's victims. Over 100,000 people died, and over 1 million now lie comatose. First, you checked in on your immediate friends and associates, finding only one, the tavern keeper, in a coma, before you then revealed the facts of the situation to Vidar and, in extension, Red. Then, of course, pressured by Red, the rest of the party learned the truth from you. You spent the rest of the day exchanging some scathing opinions and harsh truths, and even in the days after, you were still processing your current predicament. As we left off, you spent a couple of days in quiet contemplation, tending to your own personal project. We start today's session as you awaken a few days later. Early in the morning, as scattered rays of light find their way into your chambers and water mains. A strange catharsis hangs in the air from the confrontation a few days ago. While it remains far from resolved, you find yourself broken. You may move an act as you awaken.
I think that I have come to a decision and intend to. Did the king get finished?
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. I'm going to try to look for Soleil and Huxley. And it's fine if everyone overhears and joins us, but I wanted to have a conversation with at least the two of them. I guess, presumably, perhaps a breakfast, if everyone joins us all for breakfast.
She's been making an effort to be there for all meals.
Fine.
Specifically for Hux.
Then as one by one you all file into the dining hall as breakfast is being served, probably still a little bit of an awkward silence between all of you as you meet again this morning.
So, I think all of us have done some thinking and whatnot. I have an idea as to the plague and the deaths and whatnot. I realized that it was a bit unfair of me to put this all on Evelyn, as obviously it's not like she specified anyone to die in her wish. And that is definitely not a. It's not like that outcome was at all her choice. But we do know whose choice it was. A certain Freety, I believe. So, it might be worthwhile to perhaps contact said being, attempt to redirect or negotiate. Thoughts? Mostly like talking to Silas, but obviously you're all here.
And if you haven't looked around and you're looking directly at Little and Hold, stay silent for the moment.
Yeah. Whatever you do.
Isn't this thing gonna fuck us over all over again?
That is a likely outcome. But I would point out that we could perhaps direct it towards someone who deserves fucking over.
What if we
What's
kill
that?
it somehow?
Possible, but that also kind of entirely negates the benefit of the wish that was made. I mean, I hate for all this to be for nothing, in that sense.
I mean, you could still use your Death Ward spell and then not other people die. And it has like a very similar outcome, I feel like.
Maybe it's just like the city is fallen into chaos. Yeah, a million people's it's not sustainable, and maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like there's even the opportunity to save some of the people that were killed with the right negotiation. Maybe I don't know.
Mass revival.
I would say, it sounds crazy, but a million people just fell asleep into a coma. So I don't know what crazy is anymore. My thought in this regard was, if you can think of people that deserve to be engaged in the suffering of the world, that population might be a reasonable target. Anyone like that come to mind? We know that Frida likes the suffering thing, so just a thought. Rick clearly has an idea, but he doesn't want him to suggest it.
Salis doesn't really get what you're hinting at.
Well, you see, Red is a huge race. No, kidding.
Whoa!
These dang tabaxi, they all have to die.
So, like, if a population that was really powerful had, left the city to its demises and decided to make their own little utopia in a separate little demiplane, maybe giving them a slap in the sleeping sickness would re-engage them with reality?
Wouldn't they be all gone? And then they can't really grasp reality because they're all asleep.
We know we probably might cross them likely at some point anyway. So that might be,
Out of pure curiosity, right? Have you found a means of contacting the Afriti? Or the John?
Is it a John?
John.
I have not tried, because I did not think it prudent without discussion. I would be surprised if a John could not receive a dream, as they seem spiritual creatures of some type, but could be wrong. If not, yes, I could procure some scrolls of sending or whatnot. I would assume. We are fairly familiar with it.
Evelyn, can you give me I guess give me an Arcana check.
Mm-hmm. Let me. 26.
You would be aware that what Red is planning is a somewhat dangerous undertaking. While he's not exactly vulnerable in a dream, with a creature, as he mentioned himself, that is powerful, mostly spiritually in nature, there's always a chance that something could get through a connection that is sort of that strong and open.
While I'm not entirely sure how much my opinion matters in this conversation, I would strongly suggest not attempting to connect to the Jean with a dream. It would be an exceedingly large risk for you to take.
Well, do you have a better proposition for contacting it? I am open to ideas, but at the same time, I can't see as sitting or going to the lower city or wherever and just leaving this sit here for days is an acceptable outcome.
Couldn't you just buy a scroll of sending, or whatever that spell is called?
Yeah, but like it'd have to be a lot because it will probably be, I would hope, a longer conversation. So maybe like 10 scrolls or something, but maybe 5.
My largest concern with attempting to renegotiate with the Jean is they're only going to change their agreement if there's more suffering than is currently happening. They're not going to want to exchange it for even the same amount of suffering.
It's a reasonable concern.
And as you distinctly put it before, I was outsmarted by the John before, so I would be concerned about not seeing the potential new area of concern upon renegotiation.
Yes, that is entirely reasonable.
Just to make sure, what does your knowledge tell you about these creatures? If they died, would that, like... What would that help us? How would that help us? Would, like, all the people wake up, or would the spell still be active?
Give me... Both Red and Evelyn could give me, let's see, a history check or an Arcana check.
I think history's more appropriate.
Arcana is more appropriate for me, and that's a 25.
It's a 4.
Mm-hmm.
Red, you vaguely remember old stories about genies and such, but you don't remember them ever really delving into specifics or even in terms of their stories into finding and actually killing a genie. Most times taking care of a genie was sort of a sealing away of sorts. Evelyn,
Hmm.
you would know that much like devils and demons, to kill a genie, you would have to first seek it out in its home plane,
Mhm.
where they, as you know, they are in their home plane, are also the most powerful of their own form. Killing a genie, however, would resolve all of its wishes instantly. Any wish that is ongoing, any benefits, any downsides would simply fade from existence.
The only way that we'd be able to attempt to kill the John would be if we were able to fight it on its home plane of existence, where it's also going to be far stronger than the last time we encountered it. But theoretically, doing so would potentially resolve the matter.
Hmm.
What is
Sounds
its plane?
hard to accomplish.
Elemental plane, right?
Give me an intelligence check.
Mm.
You know already that it is one of the elemental planes. Roll me a check to see if you can ascertain which one.
18 just straight intelligence is going to be 22.
From its abilities and the strongest sensations you got from it, the foulness of air, the smells, you know that in most likely it would surprise you if it was anything else. It is likely the elemental plane of air.
Mm-hmm. Do we? Isn't planar travel like a big issue?
It
in our
is,
world,
I
though?
think.
You know that planar travel is not currently much of a thing. It used to be a much bigger thing in
The
the
past.
sort of previous era,
Mm-hmm.
the sort of golden age of magic before the blind, when through these massive elemental gates, people would regularly travel through planes. In fact, even entire wars were fought through these gates. You do know where the elemental plane of air lies, as you had a hand in closing it as it was opening,
Right.
atop the mountain of dwarves.
If I get a little bit stronger, and then a little bit stronger again, can cast plane shift.
It
So
would have to be one of the elemental planes, and I have no idea how to even begin to consider accessing that.
I'm not saying that renegotiating is going to solve our problem. I'm saying it's going to buy a million people a lot more time. Is my hope.
Yeah, but there's a high chance that it makes it even worse for even more people. Like Evelyn said, the thing wants suffering, the more the better.
It did not want to leave much room for going back and forth on wording when it came to a wish. It had no patience for it. And it has no reason to negotiate with a wish that would be at its own disadvantage. Worst case scenario that I can possibly imagine would be that the million people sleeping would awaken and everyone else would fall asleep.
Yeah, obviously I'm not gonna. Yes.
So this is like an evil thing, right? Aren't there like in your stories read like aren't there also like decent genies or spirits that can fulfill wishes that we could seek out somehow?
Sure.
There are plenty of benevolent creatures that have fulfilled wishes, especially in stories and tales. But of course, these are the kinds of creatures or even gods that a lot of people seek and not many find.
They just haven't been heard from in quite a while, as you might notice from the state of the world. It's my opinion.
What if we seeked out the god that tried to warn us from this? And because they seem to know what was about to happen, and maybe they can tell us how we can like fix things or help us with fixing things.
That's certainly a reasonable thought. As to all the concerns, like, yes, I've thought about that. We need to do something though.
I can ask the trees.
That might be helpful. Should we perhaps take today to ask the trees and the god, and then, if nothing comes of that, consider the bad plan of trying to contact John? I know it's a bad plan. I just like.
If you can hold down that John for like an hour, then I can bind it and control it.
For an hour.
Would mean
Uh-huh.
going again to the potentially elemental plane, and that's not something we have access to, but theoretically, good plan, Hux.
I mean, last time that thing like really caused us problems, and if it's stronger there, then it's gonna cause us even more problems. And that was just a couple minutes, and if we have to do that an hour, I don't think I can do it.
I think this is to my point, though, as to involving the wizards. Like, making this also their problem might be beneficial to us and appealing to the John to get to torment some people that didn't have access to. I mean, the wizards might hate us, but they already do anyway, kind of, so, like, you know.
Maybe if I bring Revelin to the elemental plane, then they will hatch, and then they can help us because they're probably very strong.
The what?
Revelin.
I'm sorry. What did you call your egg?
Revelin.
Yep.
Proud smile.
Yep.
Wonderful name. Wonderful name, Hux.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more tempted to contact the John by the passing minute. For some reason. Okay. Any other thoughts on potential other ideas?
I mean, we could just try these things first and ask the ones we can today.
Yeah.
And then we can, depending on what we find out, can talk again later.
Reasonable to me.
Question is, who's gonna go where?
I suspect that Evelyn should not go to the priest.
as I'm not allowed there, that would
Yeah.
be the best option.
So that means Ablin and me are out. So who's gonna go there then?
Huxley's good with priests, I'm pretty sure. So Huxley and I can do it. That sounds good.
Yeah. Like that time I talked to that priestess of the Death Grove.
Yeah. That went well. And like, you're the keeper of some sacred acorn or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe the priest will have a tree you can talk to.
Oh yes.
I don't know. I don't know what the rest. Did we have an idea that the two of you can work on?
Presuming that you actually want to go forward with attempting to contact John, we would require spell scrolls of sending. We can at least see if that's something that's even attainable.
Or something to protect my mind if I were to dream.
Or we just let a
In
certain
the
vampire take
short
care of that.
time that we have, if you were attempting to do it but within the next day or so, I don't believe any magic that we'd have resource to would be strong enough to protect your brain. Understand it's not necessarily even you that's at risk
Yes.
here.
Yeah. I
In
understood that.
you could easily become possessed or something else by the Jean. And then that would potentially be the upwards towards worst case scenario of attempting dream.
Well, maybe Ablin and I can, and you can see roll his eyes, ask Vidar for help in this case, and like he can give us some information, tips, tricks, what he thinks about the plan, if he has another plan. You know,
Yeah.
Ablin and him get along very well, so maybe he'll help her.
As it stands, I believe Adar wants us to move forward with
Yeah, I know
pursuing
what
to
Badar wants.
the underground city.
That
And
sounds
has already
lovely.
given some assistance in that. So while we can reach out to Vidar, I'm not entirely positive that he'll be of much help in this, but I suppose it can't hurt.
I understand. I want to do that. That's a good idea. Yes, but I can't do that with a clear conscience, knowing where we're at right now.
That's the thing. I would like to keep as many people safe as possible before we move down there.
I'd maybe ask him about items that can protect you or other ideas that can protect you. I don't know.
Literally anything will take.
Yeah. Maybe you
We
guys
can
could also check
attempt-
the foundry, or Brett knows the name of this. He knows the name well. Emporium is open and running again.
We can head that way.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Come on, Huxley, bring your whatever you need to bring.
I need to buy some stuff.
Okay. Are we? Which way are we headed to first? Then we're gonna go to the tree, or like the Hall of Anitas, or
Well, maybe they have a tree there, so I can ask that tree.
okay. So do we need to buy stuff and then go there?
Yeah.
Okay. let's go buy this. What kind of stuff? You just lead the way.
Yeah, you just go and buy random trinkets in a bunch of different stores that look cool.
Brett does not question that.
Yeah, okay. Should be easy enough.
Yeah, 25 gold worth of cool stuff.
Okay. You go around buying several trinkets throughout the city, and as you wander through the streets, becomes apparent the sort of impact this recent coma has had on people. There is a lot of worry, a lot of grief in the face of quite a lot of people as you pass by. But in a way, it almost appears, at least in the lower district, where things have been wild and chaotic, almost has had a pacifying effect on some of the unhappiness that has spread throughout its citizens. There's an almost unnatural calm through the streets of the lower district. And even though you expect a lot of empty houses or a lot of people moving around and searching perhaps for the possessions of people that have fallen asleep, you notice an increased presence of the Polythreme guard, along with the Silvers now walking through the streets. And you make your way to the Hall of Enitas after.
Can I stop a guard at some point, just randomly? Oh, hey, excuse me. Am I still wanted?
Oh. You are. You see him pull out a bundle of papers,
Okay.
flipping through them.
Yes. You have to stay. You have to come with me now.
That's what I'm curious. Feels like we shouldn't be.
Hands on the wall.
Oh my god!
I do not see your face amongst these.
Ah, perfect.
Sad. I thought this was going to be like One
Anything
Piece.
you'd wanted to report?
Nope.
Not suspicious at all.
Nope. Not suspicious at all. I just walked away.
There's definitely a long moment the guard looks after you before he turns around, continuing his way along the street.
You think if I get a tree and I awaken it, then it can follow me around, then I can just ask it questions anytime.
I mean, I'm sure that would work, but I feel like we're trying to ask, like, a really smart, already... Like, I think we're trying not to... like, is there a god tree or something that grants wishes? I think that's more what we're trying to find.
Oh, right. Well, maybe I could awaken that tree.
Yeah. Well, I might be awake already. But if it's not...
Oh.
But, I mean, maybe if you awaken a little tree, it can tell you where the god tree is? That's just totally out of his depth here. It's like, oh, fucking god tree is. Maybe this is why people haven't found genies, because they're not smart enough, like you, Axel, to think about it. I think it's worth a try.
Yes, we should find that god tree.
I don't know if there is one. I might have just made that up just now.
Maybe you can grant a wish.
Yes, I really hope that is something that I just didn't make up 10 seconds ago.
Alright. I could ask the tree.
Okay, good.
Okay, so
Oh.
you make your way to the hallway, Nitas, where you find a busy crowd surrounding the temple stand.
Oh, hey, Huxley, how do we think we should talk about this?
About us healing like most of the city.
Yeah, but that's how we should talk about it. Yeah, like not us being responsible for it. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Okay.
we should just say like what do we want to ask the gods? Oh yeah, I wanted to ask him for help.
Undoing a bad thing that happened, to the city, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds reasonable. I guess we'll make it. We've been here many times before,
Mhm.
so I don't know if there was like a line. Like I think we
There is a
were-
sort of large crowd that seems to condense at the top of the stairs into a line that seems to pass by the central arch. The hall itself is relatively open to the outside. You see these 3 arches. Only through the central one do you see this massive wide line of people. It also ends visibly at the top of the stairs, where one attendant is seemingly handling the situation. There are more people dressed in the robes of Aenitas, people that you see standing off to the sides, so no one simply passes by the other 2 arches.
Can I sort of like go down the line, healing anyone that obviously needs healing to kind of skip the line up toward them?
What kind of healing would you give out?
Just like healing word. That's all I.
Visibly. Okay.
Yeah. I don't really have a lot for disease or this.
There are a few then sort of you remove from the line as you are healing them. And as you sort of make your way slowly up the line, you know, passing by people, seeing injuries or debilitations, some that you can't heal, some that are at least helped by your efforts. The attendants of the hall do notice you as well, of course. And very quickly, as you slowly make your way up the line, one of them descends the stairs towards you. A face you've seen before, familiar to you, as you've seen them outside of Watermates.
Do I remember his name? What is his name?
His name was Antis.
His name was Jerkface.
Antis Jerkface.
Andy Jerkface. Nice to see.
He walks down and you see already his face is... It looks tired. He does produce the smallest smile as he takes a somewhat formal bow in front of him. Greetings and welcome to the hall.
Thanks.
I believe we were rather clear when last we spoke.
Yes, we were.
You are associated with one judge. What brings you to this hall?
How would Okay, so it's kind of two things. Number one, obviously, the city is in trouble.
It
If
is,
you like the city.
of course.
Number two, how would one go about uh, atonement, perhaps, as a question?
Atonement is a long and arduous process.
Mm-hmm.
It is not a process that we can help with, or a process that has a set number of rules or trials. One must simply atone for the injustices one has wronged and live a life of balance.
Yeah,
It often takes
that's.
many years. There are those that have endeavored to right the wrongs they've wronged, and yet, at the end, they still remained judged.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that the city or the world has that long.
Unfortunately,
So,
I believe you are right in this.
would there be the opportunity to have some help petitioning or seeking an audience with Anitas to better understand
I apologize, I do not
problems?
mean to laugh at your endeavor. An audience with any of us is something that many seek, many of
Yeah.
us, even many of the higher cadre, and it is an elusive thing, at least. I appreciate that you are making efforts to right your wrongs, and I am utterly sorry that I cannot assist you in this manner. Petitioning, seeking an audience, in a way, summoning Aenetus is an undertaking that is so immense it has never been done by the cadre for any reason, really.
Mm-hmm.
Even in times of great tragedy, even in times where Aenetus has appeared and shown himself, all of this always came from the god itself. It it would require a great deal of energy, a great amount of sacrifice, I imagine, to even will Aenetus from his throne. It is a rare thing indeed you ask for, and
Well, I mean, is there a way that I could present some image or message of myself to his throne rather than making him move? That's not really what I meant to do.
well, and this is by no means a suggestion. The only really surefire way I would know of coming face to face with Aenetus himself would be to be a devout follower of his and to die and enter the realm of Aenetus. The great judgment is done by the god himself.
Mm-hmm. Helpful. Helpful.
I
Do
could
any of your
inform
devout
the
followers?
higher cadre of your wishes, and I will be
Well,
honest, it seems unlikely to me that they would assuage to your request.
I mean, I think we're talking about a problem that affects like 1 million people, and I could reasonably argue that if one of you were to go and meet him in this way, that I could then bring it back after that. If that's helpful. I'm not even sure if that's worthwhile.
Can you give me an insight check?
Where my dice go? I don't know anything. Natural 20.
Ooh.
So like 25, I think. Where'd my first dice go?
As you mentioned the 1 million people, there's this sort of realization that the priest had.
Yep, I thought we might get there.
And you see this sort of suppressed mix of emotion. This gallery of micro expressions then wander across this priest's face as he very desperately tries to just remain stone-faced and calm. I understand. I can very well deliver this proposal to the higher cadre. As you are candid with us and you are clearly making the effort to protect the city and its citizens,
Yeah, I'd also like to point out it wasn't really us.
will offer candidness of my own. Whatever the case, there are those amongst us who would certainly be ready for such an undertaking, to end their lives to deliver a message if it means saving these people. But you must be aware that this act in itself will likely damn them in the eyes of their god. Even should we find someone who is still willing to do this. Currently, there is no guarantee they may even reach the judgment.
That was my other thought, yeah. I mean, Does Anita's take dreams?
I would think that if Anitas wanted to speak to you, he would do so. I know that
Okay.
he watches. At all times, he judges and watches.
Yeah, I think we gathered that much.
I'm sure your efforts are already known, are already seen. If he chooses not to appear to you, that is his will.
Okay, well, maybe I should try that first before the other thing. Since you obviously have understood what I'm discussing, if it is of any help to your hires, while you may have your thoughts or doubts about what we have undertaken, I would candidly, as you put it, put to you that all of this is caused not by any mere mortal, but
deem or believe what fears I may have when
yes, I'm getting to a practical.
it matters not. and it changes not my choices. We follow the principles and laws that are handed to us. And it is his will that matters to us only.
Okay, the point I'm trying to make to you right now, it is, or might be, his will versus the will of a John. If that's helpful to you.
A John?
Yes.
I'm not exactly familiar.
I said that right, didn't
You did, but it's not necessarily a common phrase.
I? I'm sure that some one of your priests higher up will be more familiar.
I understand.
Yeah.
I will make sure that all necessary information reaches the highest ears as well as your requests and your wishes to atone. If there is anything that can be done, I will bring news of that to you as soon as I can.
Alright, thanks. Secondarily, do you have a holy tree? Or know of a holy tree?
Or
There
just
is
a tree.
no tree that is sanctified specifically by Elitas. There is an old oak in the courtyard, but I would not deem it holy.
I mean, does that sound like enough of a tree? Honestly?
Yeah, any tree works.
Can we talk to your tree?
Of course, please try not to disturb any of those resting in the hall. I will bring you to the courtyard. You aren't looking to destroy said tree, are you?
No.
Like I said, it is not holy, but it is...
I just want to ask it a question.
right.
It's probably heard a lot of holy things, though. Might have good,
Well, I should
it
hope
might be
that-
well rooted in,
Oh my god.
philosophy.
Oh my god, give me a performance then.
No. Dirty 20.
There's this very short smirk that you see that's almost involuntary. Because you can tell that almost immediately as he notices that he's smiling, he suppresses it. He nods, gives you a slight bow, and leads for you to follow.
What exactly should I ask the tree?
If it knows about a tree that can grant wishes or something like that. Or if there's a holy tree, or if there's like a god tree, is there something like that?
Through one of these open archways, you follow into the hall. You've seen it before, and even back then there were a lot of beds, a lot of cots around with wounded on them. Right now there are fewer wounded, fewer bandaged. There are a lot of people sleeping. And in that familiar comatose state you've seen Ender in the last few days. He leads you past this hall towards the back where the courtyard opens up, surrounded by doors and archways, and in the middle of that courtyard lies a small garden, and in the midst of that garden stands an old tree.
Fitz will walk up and then just get like just random stuff out of his pockets and put it like in front of the tree, like making a little offering pile in the roots of the tree. like very carefully, piles it all up. It looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. And then cast divination.
Can I give Huxley a bardic inspiration as I play some nature music?
Nature music. You play a somewhat quiet melody, sort of in tune with what little wind reaches the crown of the tree. There's almost this bubbling brook of notes amidst the notes, evoking just a sense of nature. And you can give Huxley inspiration, indeed.
I don't need to roll anything. Thanks.
You might roll persuasion. You don't know.
Divination. What do you attempt to divine?
I ask, is there anyone or anything that we can contact that can grant us a wish that can help or help us or undo the wish that Evelyn made, or the consequences of the wish that Evelyn made with the sleeping people. Yeah. And the reply might be a short phrase, a cryptic rhyme, or an omen.
Hmm. As you cast divination, you receive a vision of image. You see the courtyard around you and the tree, much, much younger than it is now. You see that its roots are not nearly as gnarled or knotted. Its bark is still fresh and young. And you see sunlight, something that right now would be almost impossible with the Mediocre district above. You see days pass, ages almost, as the sun sets for the last time on this tree, and it continues on in shadow. You see a blur of people wandering past until you see at the roots of the tree movement. You see rats scurrying through the roots, building burrows, building tunnels deeper into the earth. You see these rats live and die, live and die, until you see a rat that looks different from the rat, as it simply stands upon the roots of the tree. As others scurry by at this impossible speed as time passes before your eyes, this rat remains completely still. Its eyes are blank and white. And eventually you see the rat die. As time continues, it comes to a close as it ends on where you are now, at the time you are now, as you sit before this tree. And the vision ends.
Okay. I think there's a dead rat that can help us.
Have fun with that, rat.
Can you point it out?
It might be buried under this tree.
Oh no.
So good.
I love it so much.
We're in a garden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there tombstones in the garden?
It's a fairly small garden. It's sort of, if in a monastery you had this small garden at the center, it's this sort of small garden, a square. There's probably only a few benches along the sides. Aside from the tree, there's only a couple of bushes along this sort of path through the garden, and there's not really anything else.
Like, the vision just showed me this rat that seemed like special. Like the focus of the vision was kind of first on the tree and the sunlight.
You can give me a wisdom check. Try and interpolate.
You can add the thing to any checks.
You could use your inspiration.
I will do that, and I will also do that.
The tree says it's fine. It even fits.
D12. Cute.
Very fitting.
D12? Damn.
That's
That's
no.
Oh, on that
Oh
one.
my god!
Woo!
You get to use the high, right? Maybe?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. You got to use the higher.
The 3.
Still. Damn.
Yeah.
You've got more snips.
Okay. Alright, maybe you want to use one of yours.
I don't know. I was thinking about it. Sure.
I'm
You know what?
want to do anything.
You can do it as one of my snips.
Gosh.
That's a secret dice. Here, these are fun.
Yeah, those dice are cursed. Don't. Remus and regular. Okay.
Hey,
Much better.
okay. 26.
From the passage of time, and you are, although limited, somewhat long-reaching history with other trees and what knowledge they have. You know that unlike the mushrooms you've met, trees are much slower in mind. While they learn of their surroundings, they spend their entire lives in one place, only really existing as far as their roots and branches reach. The tree itself likely knows very little on the subject, hence it showing the passage of time and spending pretty much the entirety of its life in this courtyard, as far back as this building reaches, even before the Mediocre district was about. But the mice have a significance. It's the only thing that this tree would learn things from. The only thing that scurries farther than the tree's roots, deeper, and brings knowledge, or perhaps wisdom. And this blind rant, this old wizened rant, does seem to bear a great significance, but as it is dead, it itself is likely of little use to you at the moment.
I don't know how we're gonna find a rat. It's been dead a long time. Do
I
you...
can cast reincarnate on the rat.
Okay. Well, how, where would we even go? You're gonna have to lead the way on this. I don't understand. I understand nothing about what just happened with this rat.
This rat seems quite important.
I believe you. I don't know what that means to us. Like, I don't. Do you want to find a different rat and ask it where this rat is buried or something? I don't even understand. Okay.
If it's within a, I can, I might cast locate object on the rat bone.
Mm-hmm. You cast locate object, and there is an immediate sense of it being close by. About a foot or so beneath the roots, almost somewhat overgrown, you sense there's probably not that much remaining of the bones. They're old and obviously buried in the dirt. They've started to turn to dust. But there are these small shards of bones that yet remain.
I will dig them out.
Okay, well,
You start digging in this small hole, and Red, as you're, a little bit embarrassed as you're looking around you.
can I like start, prestidigitating some way to cover this up that we're just running?
Yeah. You make it, sort of as soon as there's like dirt being pushed inside, you flatten it and sort of. There's a hole that is being created, but it's about the cleanest hole anyone has ever dug.
Nice.
You do notice there is, a couple of priests, as busy as they are. There are people sort of stopping and looking your way, but you also see Antis between you and them, just sort of waving them by.
I dropped an earring.
Yeah,
Alright,
you
we'll
dig
find it in
for a
a
little
sec.
bit. It doesn't take you very long. It is not that deep under the earth. You have to push aside a couple of roots, but you find what you're looking for. Amidst plenty of other rat bones, there is an old nest, and within it you find the bones of that rat. Largely decomposed. There are still these sort of fragments, these shards, even of a jaw, part of a skull. They're all cracked and in tiny pieces, but you manage with, of course, locate object up, the pieces that belong to the rat that you seek.
Yes, I realize I can actually not resurrect it because it has died more than 10 days ago, but
Mhm.
maybe we can, like, you know, ask the people. I should clarify when Hugs casts divination, he doesn't ask like a specific tree. He just more so asks like nature itself. But yeah, I could maybe ask
Nature
that
of the
tomorrow.
the sort of omen, the nature of the or the knowledge of the rats is likewise all that you really get, especially in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
center of Polythreme where you are. Nature is very disjointed, very disconnected,
makes sense.
and in terms of its knowledge, very limited. Of course, if you were in a forest, it could tell you all of its knowledge, but
Yes, maybe we should go outside the city to get
Okay.
better connection.
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
that makes sense.
Not even
Before-
5G in Polythreme. What is this?
I also wanna cast Speak with Plants for relief.
Mm-hmm.
And then just ask the tree specifically, do you know if there's like a god of trees? Or like a holy tree or a god tree or something like that.
What you get in return is this sort of impression again. Still images along with these shreds of very slow, very drawn out whispers. Long ago. And you see these massive trees towering almost to the size of mountains. Long silence. And you see the image of these trees fade.
But they're like gone.
Silent now.
Yeah, I think the god tree might be dead.
Oh,
But
that sort of
maybe
makes
the
sense.
trees in the forest no more.
Yeah, maybe. I am aware that resurrection's a thing. I don't know. Who knows? You might know that. I'm also not certain that I want to spend like 1,000. Yeah, but you know that part's fine. We can spend 1,000 gold resurrecting a rat.
I'm not sure if the gods will actually know that much about it.
Well, let's we'll keep our options open. We can keep them.
Yeah, I will definitely keep them.
Yeah.
As you gather up the
Okay.
bones and, get up and sort of finish prestidigitating the whole close, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I will fill up the hole again, so.
Mm-hmm. As he sort of hears you getting up, Anders will turn around. So, are you done talking to the tree?
Yes.
Good. I hope that it helped you on your journey. I do have to ask you to leave now.
That's
My brothers
understandable.
are getting antsy, and there's much business that they should not be distracted from at the moment.
Thank you for your time.
And he leads you back out through the hall, up until the staircase, where he bows again and lets you scurry off away from the temple under watchful eyes.
Why are the priests turning into ants?
Turning into what?
Ants.
The priests are turning.
He said they're becoming ants.
Oh, that was his name, Ant this.
Now they're becoming antsy.
Antsy.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with the naming conventions. There's Ant this and Ant that.
Oh.
Maybe
Not becoming
it's like,
actual ants.
well, it might be like a state of transcendence to be antsy for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you become things. Maybe like they enjoy becoming ants. Like spiritually.
Like their spirit becomes an ant?
Maybe, I don't know, man. I've never been religious, really, so.
I mean, ants can get a lot done, so they're very good workers, so maybe that helps them with their busy tasks.
Must be it. Rhett, like, if you had any insight at all, Rhett is just this is some absolute bullshit.
Hugs nods as if, like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Okay, good.
During this expedition into the lower district, Eowlin, Silas. Sorry, I was about to say Slayless.
Slayless.
What would you be doing during that time?
Guess probably reluctantly heading over to the Emporium first.
Mm-hmm.
Let me reiterate, this is I have a lot of concerns about the plans moving forward. I understand something should be done, but I don't want to be hasty in whatever we're doing.
Same here. I don't want to make it worse than it already is. That's why I was trying to put like a hold on Red's plan there to contact the thing. If we
Think
do
that-
something, I want to make sure it's correct to do it.
I understand even directing the attention elsewhere would seem a good idea, and I understand I'm not necessarily in the position to talk. But from learning from experience, at least, unfortunately, I think it would be the last resort should, if any resort we should ever consider.
Yeah. Because even though the mages up there were all cowards and whatnot, but there were still like young people, almost children among them. They were just trying to learn and do stuff, and some of them probably want to try to better the world. I don't think all of them were terrible people. We met some nice ones up there. I don't want to just put them into harm's way just as a distraction. It just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know.
And there'd be concerns that with limited ability of wording things, it wouldn't simply even be just the wizards there. And what is the definition of a wizard? Are we removing magic entirely?
Yeah. I'm probably on your side here.
Again, I understand the hypocrisy of me resisting this idea, but I wouldn't want to make things worse. So, see if the Emporium's even open.
Yeah.
Make our way there.
Also, Silas is riding Winona. I don't know if you want to ride with him, get there
Yeah, she'd
quicker,
ride
but
with-
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. As you would arrive at the forges where the Emporium is, there is quite a bit of crowd bustle. It's not as crowded as you're used to in the last few days, or the last time even you had been here. The Emporium itself appears to be almost empty of people. There are only a few people there. The largest mass of people you see moving in and out of the fort. There seems to be some level of unrest amidst the people, but not to a degree that it's worrisome to you.
Yes.
You enter
we'll-
the Emporium?
Yeah, see if we can enter.
Okay. You step inside the Emporium, sort of out of this sort of bustling crowd, and it appears to be open. The hall is brightly lit. You see all of the displays. At least the majority of them are filled with objects, trinkets, weapons, armors, and you see attendants behind the counter.
Evelyn will make her way over to an attendant. Hello, we weren't sure if you were going to be open.
Yes, we are. We are currently not taking requests or commissions. We have the stock you can see, and not much beyond it currently.
Understood. Kind of taking a moment to glance around. Is there anything that you have in stock in means of being able to use the sending spell at all?
Sending. You see her flipping through a large book. No, not currently. We don't produce those in-house. You may have some luck with the college.
Good to know. Do you have anything in stock that would aid in perilous times, being able to sustain an individual for longer?
Well, I suppose you couldn't say that for a lot of these items. I'm not sure if I have specifically what you're looking for. You see her start to go around the displays, looking at things, pulling out a couple of them. As you look around, let me get clean my channel real quick. Is a list of items currently available, and can you also give me 3 1d100s?
Mm-hmm.
Silas, if you want to, you could roll me one as well.
There it is. I wanted
Which kind of roll?
1d100.
100.
Oh, okay.
A wiggling. Gotta roll again. Get under 100.
I know. I was just so happy that I rolled so high.
You're much easier.
Don't actually know if I have access to this item. I don't know why I would do this.
Mm.
Okay. 15. I hate this name. Additionally, you have these.
How much is the mine guard crown?
Okay. Really hoping on this. The Mind Guard crown would cost 48,000.
Okay. Not worth it. Not seeing anything here that will be of aid. Any thoughts, Silas?
What did you say? I was reading an item description. Sorry.
She's mostly just saying she doesn't see anything of use, but asking if you do.
Can take a little bit of a longer look. Let's take a 5 to 10 minute break, I would say, because I gotta go pee anyway. So it's a perfect moment.
Hux, Freya.
Yeah.
What's Hux's strength? 20?
Already above 20, isn't it?
27 with the belt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then that Minotaur ring doesn't really do anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nothing really.
Yeah. There's obviously things that it could be like, hey, maybe you could use that.
Yeah.
The most helpful thing on this list is the instant fortress,
Yeah.
but it's 130,000 gold.
Yeah.
We don't have funds like that. Even then, it's so situational based upon being in a place that you can even put it down. I think it's sort of like a one-time use thing too.
The fortress?
Mm-hmm. I could be wrong.
I mean, the dancing weapons are fun, but they are not even +1, so
Yeah.
like those are items that I would like at level 5.
The Mind Guard's a good item.
It's not the best for me. I already have advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic.
Okay.
For myself, at least.
Yeah.
So, for other people, potentially. But with Evelyn coming here with the thought of, I'm trying to find something theoretically to help keep her alive, and don't do tons. Now, if there's an intelligence wisdom saving throw that's not magic, then sure. And the psychic resistance is okay, which is, but like in her, like it's not worth 40,000.
Should ask Beggar what kind of creature is meant for the arrow of slaying. Because it usually specifies like arrow of dragon slaying, for example. Because it's specifically for some creatures, but all groups of creatures. But I mean, those are 1,000 apiece, and that's the worst part about magic arrows. They always use up their magical stuff with one shot, and then they're just normal arrows again.
Yup.
That's why I feel like these magical arrows are just not worth it.
The Defender short sword's interesting, but it's still not.
Yeah, it's interesting, but it's just still like half damage from what my weapons do, so I don't feel like it's... My weapons are just too good!
Guess we're gonna visit Vidar. It's gonna be like, why are you guys
Spell
stuck
gem
here?
is pretty good.
The what?
Specifically as a constant attunement. But it would be like really good to store a raised dead in there.
True.
Or something like that.
Right.
Or like a magnificent mansion in there. So that any of you could use it.
What did you want to store? A race rat?
Yes.
Indeed.
Oh my god.
Wee.
Level spells is pretty good. I think there's up to 7 little spells.
Yeah. How much is this spell gem, Becker? I think it's 8 level spells.
2 gold. Sold.
Oh.
Cold.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a reusable spell scroll. It's, you know, sort of not the kind of thing you want to do all the time, but...
Okay, 10 gold.
10 gold, there you go.
Be 35,000 gold.
That's more than 10.
It's more than 10. It is legendary.
Yeah.
It can hold 8th level spells, and it already holds an 8th level spell.
Oh.
Which one does it hold?
You're gonna take a look at it.
If Evelyn looks at it and casts insight, Oh gosh, insight. Identify.
Yeah.
I cast inside.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and roll me 2d20.
Ablin staring intently at this gem,
She's kind of
trying to
focusing
get
past it.
inside on it.
Yeah, yeah. 18 and a 5.
No, damn you. It contains the spell Tsunami.
Casual tsunami.
I don't think Evelyn is going to purchase this at this point in time. But she'll mention it to people later on. That it was there.
Fair enough.
Because right now she's looking for a very specific
Yep.
resource. Anything catch your eye, Silas?
No, not really.
Right. Then she'll kind of turn to the and thank you for your time, but I think at the moment we'll wait until things calm down.
Of course.
Make her way to head out.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna start making her way to the up to the upper tier.
Mm-hmm.
I
It'll
can talk
probably
to
not take you very
Vidar.
long taking the chain lift down. The Emporium is close by and making your way back up. Which means fairly quickly you would arrive at the mansion. You stand before the large gate and currently it is closed.
Yeah, she's dreading this conversation. Kind of stand there for a moment. Right, I suppose we should proceed and kind of glance at the like, because this is like a door knocker kind of a thing on the gate, right? Is it higher up? Can Evelyn even reach this? I'm pretty sure last time
you
she
would
would have
have
just
to
cast.
sort of reach over your hand, but
Yeah.
it would be within reach.
Silas, did you want to get that?
Sure. And I will just knock. With the door knock.
As you knock, you hear this almost echoing knock inside, reverberating. And then you hear this click and groaning of the doors as they start opening, swinging outwards. You take a quick step backwards as the gate swings open. And inside the familiar ballroom, you see two figures.
Yeah.
Appear to have been talking. Right now, as the doors open, you see both of them sort of looking toward the open gate, where you stand.
When we'll go ahead and make her way in slightly. I apologize for their interruption.
That
If
is quite all right. Thank you, Gromo. I would speak to Evelyn for a moment, alone. He walks to the side of the hall and looks towards it.
Evelyn will make her way over to Vidar.
I have had time to consider our options. For the time being, they remain consistent. The biggest reason why we are working together is trust. Not a trust in a mutually shared morality or conscience, but the trust that I know you are the one who will do what is needed to achieve what we are seeking to accomplish. I believe we both still seek the preservation of this world and the people in it.
Very
So
much so.
in regards to the recently surfaced problems, we must find a way to resolve them. There is no doubt of that, of course. But while we search, we must remain focused on the task at hand. We know the Dominion will not waver, so neither must we. I trust you are working to keep your house in order.
At the moment, it's been a point of contention amongst our group to continue forward, and I am working on convincing them as such.
I understand. I shall talk to them too. For the time being, when you head down to the old city, one of the silvers will accompany you. He waves loosely towards Gromon, courtesy of Gromon, to ensure specifically your safety.
I believe that should help to allay the majority of the concerns. She kind of glances to Silas to see if he has any thoughts, or if he looks like, yeah, this makes sense, or just what his general expression is.
He's just standing there looking like a professional, not trying to
Sure.
have any slips of his demeanor. Yeah, he's just standing there, and
Fair enough.
you probably aren't sure if he listens in, but he probably does, as bodyguards do tend to do.
I am currently working on dissuading one thought of line of thinking to attempt to renegotiate things. And I believe both, and she kind of gestures to both her and Silas, are in agreement on this matter. And it's simply a matter of having everyone agree.
I would imagine any renegotiation would be hard. We are on the small lever on this one. The weight is massively tipped towards the other side.
Great agree.
Unless there is anything specific in mind.
I think it's a risky gamble at this point in time, and a gesture of morality to attempt to make things right. But I believe it's a foolhardy gesture at that.
Forward-mindedness will be the only thing that brings us solution. For the time being, we should leave Polythreme soon. My search for clues of Boltzmann have been rather fruitless. He's a field study. to find him somewhere stationary as the city. It is an insurmountable task. We need to go out and look for him. I would put it to your heart that perhaps you could wrap up your business in the next few days.
I believe that should be possible.
And we are of one mind.
Just for our future endeavors, have you heard of a being that can fulfill similar wishes but is not such an asshole, that is somehow approachable and not a fickle god?
That last part of your sentence does close out a lot of creatures I would have in mind. Another genie comes to mind, but again, genies vary in power. You'd need to find one at least as strong, if not stronger, than the one you're currently in debt with.
Yeah, are there like famous jinns that are part of myths and tales that might be a little bit true, or I don't know.
I figured this might be a question best served to the bards at the college. While I have researched powerful entities and the abilities they could provide us, information has gotten very scarce over the last few years. You understand why. The only places I could even think to look for them currently sit deep within the light. And braving that sort of environment seems counterproductive. If anything, even survive in those places.
I believe that concludes all of our concerns. I am appreciative of the gift you did send.
As I understand, one of the silvers will be waiting at the entrance to the mines, whenever you choose to go.
Understood. She kind of will glance to Silas just to make sure he didn't need anything else.
Are there any adversaries left in the city we have to be aware of? Like, is there still anyone confronting you, or the decisions that are made for the best of all? Any political parties that are still...
There is always squabble amongst the political parties of Polythreme, but there is no great threat like the Forge Masters were to us.
Good.
Not currently, at least.
That's good enough for now. Alright, let's go.
I will kind of nod and turn to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Head
Anywhere you head after that?
Helen's probably gonna make her way back to Quartermains. Unless Silas just anywhere else.
I mean, Silas will follow her.
Yeah. So, back to Quartermains.
You'd probably spend a bit more time before
I'm assuming Red and Huxley are returning as well, or is there anyone else you would be adding?
I mean,
We're going.
as we reach Quartermains, if that is beforehand, as soon as I know Evelyn is inside Quartermains and safe, Silas will start running
Okay.
into the slip and will think of the library to see what happens.
Oh.
As like a last ditch effort.
Smart.
You dive into the slip and return to this dark plane of nothingness that slowly forms into this faraway vision of that body. And you look around, you search for the library, you try to keep your thoughts focused. But no door appears. You wander around, sort of thinking of the door appearing for a good long moment. But every time you open your eyes, you are met with the same sight. No progress made in distance towards that body, nor a door anywhere around you.
Guess I will at some point just sit down, stare at the body, and kind of go into like a meditation-like state for like an hour or something before I will return.
Mm-hmm. Can you roll me a 1d20, please?
Sure. That is a 7.
I thought it was a 1 for a second.
That was 1 too.
I mean, the one was close.
Yeah, you vanish back out of the slip and appear right outside of the tournaments.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to see what Abel's up
should
to.
actually be in the workshop.
Guess I will just stand somewhere in the back of the workshop and just mind my business while she does hers.
So, Red Huxley.
Were we going outside the city, or do you feel like you know enough now that it's not worth it because the Godfreys are dead?
I think I should ask the trees in the forest, but I need to wait until tomorrow because if I ask them like multiple times, then sometimes they start lying.
I didn't know that trees were liars. Yeah, okay. But only after it's been interesting. Do you mind in regard to the rat druid, the rat, whatever that is? If we stop by the college, I believe that they might have something that could help us in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did I find the skull of the rat?
You probably have a fragment of it, probably sort of, a section of the jaw
Yeah.
and maybe part of the upper skull where you can still sort of make out where an eye hole would have been, but only sort of fragments.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go to the Songspire College.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I guess we could stop by Court Remains, but
You stop by before you go to the college, or would you go?
I'll go to the college first. Yeah. So now I'll go to the college. And I'm not entirely, I mean, like, obviously, the character knows, but I don't quite know exactly what it's like. I know that I have lots of people here that I talk to. Is it like I'm wandering around to try to find individuals, or is there like a main?
There's a sort of central forum at the center of the spire, where likely a lot of the bards would regularly meet, either in between their classes or project, to exchange ideas, share songs.
Okay. So I guess I will go there.
Mhm.
Is there also a? Is that just like that same space where people might do any trading of items or goods or that type of thing? It's just
It
kind
would
of
be
informal.
adjacent to that space.
I will go there and start making some inquiries as to various legends of genies. Specifically the John, but I'll take any genies. If there's like a good genie, that would be also.
Mm-hmm.
If there are any, I don't know, bards that specialize in genie tales, I don't know. I didn't gather any information on that.
Tales of genies you'd find are relatively old and very few between. Much more common, especially around Polythreme, would be tales of spirits and gods and such. So you wouldn't find anyone who's specialized in it. But in terms of your general research, can you give me a charisma check?
Sure. Wow. That's a natural 1 with a 5. Wow.
So as you ask around for genies, you find that a lot of these tales are mostly, or had been mostly, passed through oral tradition. As an unfortunate side effect, by the time the Bard's College was founded and started writing things down, there really wasn't all that many tales or many details to these stories entail. You can definitely ascertain that there are a number of kinds of genie. The Jinn, the Ifriti, you don't need to make that any larger, the Marid and the Dao. In terms of Jan, you find especially little. And in terms of the genie themselves, you find that the Marid are the ones that will often grant the most benevolent wishes. There are tales of Marid in the deserts to the south, but you receive no names or locations.
As to our little rat buddy, could I inquire as to if anyone knows resurrection?
Or speak with it.
Or speak with Ed, but speak with Ed won't work probably.
Resurrection.
The commonly known 7th level bard spell. Surely.
Commonly known.
Commonly known, clearly.
Commonly known.
That was sarcastically. I don't know if it's actually commonly known. I doubt it. I think that I am familiar enough to know that it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. There would probably only be a handful of bards capable of casting a spell. Let me think. You'd probably find one that is at the college. A lot of the, especially high-level bards, are not
Eccentric.
often in Polythreme. You know, the sort of bards that reach that level of power are the ones that also venture out into the world to gather tales of. Make sure that the tales that they have are carried on.
Sure.
But in all likelihood, there would be one present at the college.
Could I persuade him that it would be hilarious to resurrect a rat? You know, I mean, I'll compensate him, of course, for whatever the fun is. But, I mean, who does that? It sounds like a great time. Maybe I can get Huxley to tell him about how wonderful this rat is and how it grants wishes.
It's a special rat.
It's great.
All this
I'd do
rat
it if
did
I were a
was
bard with
standing
Zordor.
there and staring at the tree, right? That's all that rat did.
It's like cooler than all the other rats. It just stood there for like a couple of years in the shadow under the tree, and it just stared into the distance,
It saw everything.
and it saw everything.
The bard currently sort of overseeing the keeping of this bard would not be really like an archmage of sorts. They wouldn't be in charge of the college itself, but they would be maintaining a lot of its traditions and a lot of its archives.
Got it.
And it's a young elf by the name of Raviel Pridedraft. As you seek her out for your hilarious resurrection, can you roll me a persuasion check?
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure if it's actually super useful to resurrect the rats.
Yeah, it would be hilarious, though. 7, 30, 20.
What was that?
A dirty 20.
Okay. You understand that I have a busy day today, and a busy day tomorrow, and another busy day after that. And you want me to resurrect a rat,
Special rat.
a special rat.
We think it might help us cure everyone in the city of sleeping. It's a long shot, though.
It does sound like a long.
Are you boring?
That aside, you've contributed a great deal to the college, and you are a well-respected graduate. So as a favor, I will resurrect the rat. But in the future, please do not ask me to resurrect any more rats.
Oh yeah, this is a one-off. I never asked this. This is the first time.
You see her sort of shaking her hand and walking to one of the adjacent chambers where you see a large empty circular room for casting spells, for enchanting melodies and such. Place what you have of the rat in the circle, and
Yeah. Of course.
if I hear anything in terms of funny stories or tales or songs of this, I'll know where it came from. she stares daggers at you.
She's
And
really
casts
not fun.
resurrection on the rat.
Could I, you know, I'm really actually interested in resurrection, so I'd really like to watch how she does it very closely.
Mhm. You see her settle before the circle as she herself produces this small handheld harp. She starts playing a melody, soft melody, that very slowly, over the course of the next hour, as the diamond in front of her slowly begins disintegrating, picks up speed. And as it comes to this sort of crashing crescendo, as she almost wildly moves around the harp while playing it, the bones of the rat begin to stir. You see very slowly the bones start to connect. Bones where they were clearly missing start to form, until you have a complete skeleton, which in the blink, in the last loud strum of this small harp, completely reconstitutes into a rat. It's old, its fur, even as it has been restored, is slightly matted. This bright grayish white. And it stands there, staring at nothing with its blind eye. The melody, though abruptly ending, almost still echoes in the hall, and having heard it for the last hour or so, it almost seems to keep playing in the back of your mind. But slowly, the silence begins to settle in. Right. Well, as I said, there are other things I have to attend to. I assume this is all you needed.
Yeah, that is very helpful. Thank you so much. Here's your.
This.
I'll give her 1,100 gold.
Mhm.
So you don't cover.
She takes
Damn
it
it, it's
without really, looking at it, counting. And as she wanders off, you see her drop it in a nearby lockbox before she goes back to her work. Is everything all right, Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
had an accident and I had to clean it up.
Okay. As long as it's not something you need to.
No.
Taken
She
care of.
apparently did not want to take the last break I stepped out to actually use the bathroom.
Ah.
Inside waited till it was inside.
Okay.
I just wanted to go and buy scrolls of sending if they're available here. I will trust Huxley to do whatever is needed with the rat.
Okay. Yeah, you wander off and you return to the hall. You'd probably find it relatively easy to buy a couple of scrolls of sending. You said you needed 10?
However, I don't know. How many are available and how much? I was just saying wild. Maybe it'd be 10. I don't know.
Okay, alright.
Maybe we will not use them at all for this purpose, but they seem helpful to have. So.
A scroll of sending, especially, you being a member of the college, would cost you 200 gold.
Okay. And how many are available?
You asked how many are available?
Yeah, I'm just. Would it be a problem if I bought a bunch? I don't know.
Well, I haven't really counted them. There's a chest full of them.
Oh, okay. Well,
You
let
want me
me
to
just-
count them?
No. I'll buy 5. That'll be plenty. If I, for some wild reason, need more,
Yeah,
I'll come
there
back.
should be at least 5. He produces 5 spell scrolls.
Okay. And I hand him 1,000.
Mm-hmm. You see, go into a lockbox and you receive your spell scroll. Huxley! You stand in front of this rat, which, aside from breathing, does not seem to move a muscle.
I will cast Speak with Animals. And then I will say, hello. Can you talk?
You see its mouth open as if trying to squeak or express something, but there is only silence. From its mind, you receive nothing but this sort of blank image. It almost feels like this rat has forgotten how to be a rat.
Oh. Can you understand me? You can think. Nod, blink, or
You receive no reply.
I will pick up the rat and like hold it like a baby. And
As you pick up the rat, it still does not move anything. Even as you sort of, grab it by its scruff, as you start holding it. Usually, any animal, as you pick it up, struggles a little bit. It almost feels like it's just frozen in time, just unmoving. But it isn't unmovable by your touch.
like, does it feel alive? Like, is there a heartbeat?
You can feel a heartbeat if you feel, and you can see its chest slowly moving up and down, and it is breathing as well. But it appears completely paralyzed otherwise.
Rat.
Yeah.
You speak with people in their mind.
Yeah.
Can you read the rat mind?
Oh, no, I can message it.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I would cast message with the rat. Hi, are you... My name's Rat, what's yours?
You receive no response.
It seems kind of silent. Is it cursed? Or
I'm
something?
not sure if the resurrection like worked fully. Or maybe it's just because it stood there for like so long. Maybe it's just become a statue before it died.
Okay.
Red, can you give me a history? The DC of this is very high.
No, but yeah, there's an
Yeah,
extra
that's a
one.
red one.
That's a rat, yo. I don't...
Yeah, you have no idea.
Okay. Well, I've already spent this much on it. Fuse more diamonds. I'll cast a greater restoration on it.
You cast Great Restoration on it, and the spell does not take hold. There's nothing to heal, nothing to remove, nothing to
Oh.
improve.
Wait, I didn't actually need you to cast message on it. I cast Beast Spot, and now I can also telepathically communicate
You cast what now?
emotions.
Oh,
Beast
Beast
Spot.
Spot.
Mm-hmm.
Can I feel its emotions?
There are none.
Can I like? Okay, I want to start walking around and like kind of holding up the rat and like pointing it at like random stuff and like directions and see if there's any response. If it like
You hold the blind rat up in front of you and start pointing at things. To very little success. Nothing really elicits any response. Even as you move it around, relatively quickly, as it just sort of dangles off of its scruff as you hold it, there's no response at all. It's almost like its mind is just not there.
okay, I think the body got resurrected, but I think the the spirit is gone. It's not here.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do with that information. Oh, hang on. You never know. Sometimes it's just like a thing. I'm gonna cast Measures to it again. Hi, Mr. Rat. I wish for all negative effects of Eblin's wish to be removed. Please grant this wish. Thank you.
You receive no response.
That's not a no.
Let's go kill Evelyn again.
Oh, no. People would have woken up if it were. Well, let's keep trying. Maybe it just needs some time to wake up. It has been dead like many years.
True. Yeah. I'll try feeding it.
Why don't we head back to Quartermain's too?
What are you trying to feed it?
Random like piece of dried fruit that I have in my pocket.
Mm-hmm. You put a piece of dried fruit in its mouth.
I will help it chew by moving its jaw.
And you move its jaw sort of around. But it very clearly looks like it's just... You're moving it around in its mouth. It's just still in there.
Yeah, let's go back home.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so you arrive back at Quartermain's. As you've taken another detour, this would probably be slightly after Silas has already reappeared back out of the snow. And as they're both in the workshop as you would arrive at Quartermain.
I mean, as you guys come in, you can probably see Silas standing there with his notebook, in his hand and
Oh,
drawing something as he watches Ablin.
Okay, so the The priest said that the priests of Anidus were not exactly helpful, but didn't say no to attempting to contact their god. And they're gonna let us know if anything comes of it.
That's something.
Huxley walks in, you see Huxley holding a somewhat sizable, large rat.
It
We
looking
spoke
It
to
looks
tree.
incredibly old, and it just stares blankly with just matted white eyes into nothing.
We spoke to a tree there. The tree showed us this rat about, I don't know, many years ago as an answer to who can grant wishes. We dug up the rat's bones. We went to the Bard College, got somebody to resurrect the rat.
Evelyn
And here we are.
and Silas, can both of you give me an history check?
History.
Hopefully this means something to you, Evelyn.
Check is really high. Evelyn, you get to make this roll with advantage, and Silas, you get to make it with disadvantage.
Because I don't know
I mean,
anything
I
about
don't
Lord
have a high
Rat
history
or Rat.
anyway.
I'm sure you do. Can I give her this person?
I was thinking of naming it Retribution.
Can I?
It's a
can I give it?
9.
So it's a default for you.
I mean, if you can, after taking that psychic damage, sure.
Listen, I said it before. Sure.
27?
That's good.
As Huxley walks in, holding this rand, there's this sort of memory that resurfaces. It's very faint, and it definitely comes out of a, folder in your mind that's marked as completely unimportant, most likely. Of when you were looking for Easterville's basement, as you were wandering the bowels underneath Polythreme, you remember walking past a number of rats that seemed almost catatonic, that seemed to at least scurry a little bit as you sort of pushed them out of the way, but otherwise also had blind eyes and seemed to do nothing at all. It just kind of reminds you of
It's not one of Istaville's rats, is it?
Istaville? No, that's a name I haven't
There
heard
was
in a
the
while.
rats that we had. They were pretty much about as responsible as that rat.
Like
What
test
is it?
subjects?
Right. I presumably I brushed them off. Is that what you were trying to get to one of her rats?
Would it make sense if I was?
Well, not really. You said you were trying to get a rat to that grants wishes, and you cast resurrection on it. That's some interesting choices. It's possible there's some tangent of her research that could
Be related to wishes? Immortality? The combination of, what was it?
to clarify also whether or not you still stipulate whether or not it is correct or not.
yeah, she's using a general term.
You found them sort of on the way there.
In the She associated the weirdness to Istaville, so that's why she's referring him to it.
Just making sure.
Yes. Yeah.
But did I get like a sense of how long ago the rat died? Like it was quite a while ago.
You would estimate that this rat has probably been dead for about 5 years.
Oh, okay. So that will be in the time frame.
Do you share that information?
Yeah, I guess. Like, yeah.
Evelyn, you'd be pretty certain that was before the blight.
That's interesting. That would be well before Istaville's research.
So it means something.
Theoretically, I could take a look at it if you want it.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be helpful. Let's see what else. Oh, I picked up some scrolls of sending. I am definitely going to attempt to contact Anitas before I would go about contacting a Jen. Because apparently that's a possibility. I found that out. I feel like that's a lot less dangerous.
Just have to die.
No,
I'm sorry?
no, in a dream.
What?
Okay, the whack jobs at the temple were like, oh yeah, I could meet him right now if I just died. It's like,
Right.
that's not a helpful guy, but okay. Weird flex.
Okay.
I suppose if you want to attempt to reach out to a god, by all means, I still think we should not reach out to the John.
I understand that, and we are exploring all other options first.
I think it shouldn't be even an option.
I
We
would have
did-
said that about making a deal with it, so you know.
As well,
here
but
we are.
but at this point in time, if you are presenting the options moving forward as a group, obviously I understand the hypocrisy of my statement as it stands. But that being said, any attempts to go through the John to set things right
Yes,
are
yes.
going to make things worse.
That's
Seems like
what I
it.
think too.
I agree with that statement.
Also, you
We
said
did,
you had to die to get to that
uh,
god. That's also
Stop by the Emporium.
Oh.
There wasn't much of use for my specific situation, but there's a few things that maybe someone might find your interest in. We did go meet with Fadar, and he was having a meeting with Gromo, and as things stand, he believes that the most beneficial way of going forward is to continue to proceed with our original plans. Gromo is going to be offering the assistance of one of their silvers to act as guard for me down in the lower cities.
That's good.
also you said something about dying to meet the god and whatnot. I feel like killing ourselves hasn't been like the best path we've taken in the past, so
I did not say. Yeah, it was not my idea.
should probably not do that.
I totally agree.
As he glances at Ablin.
She's avoiding looking at him and kind of looking at Rat instead.
Well, you have a look at the rat. I'll go take a nap and see if Anitas would like to be more clear.
Do be careful.
I wish you luck. I feel like gods are never clear.
And
Hey,
relatively fickle at times.
I mean, maybe this will be a good fickle time. Who knows?
So, if I could look at your rat.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the rest.
Should probably start by casting a quick identify on it.
As far as you can tell, this rat is non-magical.
Mm-hmm. Then she'll take some time to try and do like a medicine check and see if she can't find any abnormalities. Do some simple tests along those lines while Rhett goes to sleep.
What do you mean, Silas is having
Oh,
insight on rats?
Give me a medicine check.
Tremendous.
He's suppressing his hunting instincts.
That's 23.
The rat is alive in the loosest sense of the word. If you didn't know that this was a rat, you would almost not call it alive. It reacts to nothing. Even so much as cutting its skin, there is not a reaction. It reacts not to cold, to heat. It breathes. And that's about it. You are fairly certain this rat is going to die soon, just from malnutrition and dehydration. And by soon I mean like, maybe a week or so. But
Yeah.
Huck said the rat was standing there for a while in the vision.
Yeah.
How long is a while?
How long did it seem?
it would be somewhat difficult to ascertain details on that. But you'd assume probably at least a week, at most a month.
Right.
Okay.
Just as time was flying by so
Yeah,
difficult.
but just a couple of weeks, basically.
Okay, because the earlier description I wasn't sure if it said like years pass by and the
Yeah.
rat is standing there, and I wasn't sure if that was just the rat standing there for years or if like the whole scene was a couple years where the rat was standing there for a while. Okay, because years would have been like interesting. I just watched Ablin checking out the resurrected rat.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a weird thing.
Just another one.
Just another day in D&D.
We're not quite at rock bottom, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Evelyn would probably start trying to initially mentally start reaching back into her thoughts of what any reports of anything that were occurring around the time of 5 years ago, what kind of like the world status is, but that probably would take some time of her like kind of journaling backwards, like taking out some paper to kind of create a reverse timeline for herself to help organize her thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Hux will start brushing the rat.
You could go ahead and roll me a history check for your sort of cataloging of events. And rat, as you take a nap and cast dream, presumably.
Focused on elitists.
You try to
God of
dream
justice.
of a god. You start to fall asleep. You fall into this dream, and far in the distance, you feel like you see mountains. But whenever you move close to them, they seem just as far as when you began. And your dream does not reach the god.
Not unexpected. Southern Han exponential connecting stairs.
What's the result of your roll?
24.
You catalog a number of events from the beginning of the blight, even reaching further and further back. And whilst there was a lot of changes politically, you find nothing that happened that could explain a change in the rat.
This is a bit of a reach. Where we went to fight the Sobers was in somewhat of a similar area as the rat, is that correct? For helping Gromo become sober?
That would have been
take control, or no?
a very separate area.
Separate area.
There is this
Okay.
sort of tunnel system directly below, sort of, the streets, the bowels of Polythreme.
Okay.
Where, a lot of smugglers use those paths. It used to be an old sewer system, but it's long been, it's decrepit, and it's mostly just remnants of what used to be
Gotcha.
a system of tunnels.
Okay.
The mine tunnels are way, way further below that, once you hit the bedrock and far below the city. Though from the Bowles, you remember reaching a cave at one point, so there may be interconnected pieces here and there. As you know, there's natural rifts, natural caves, cave-ins that potentially could connect the two, but at least geographically, they're vertically about as separate as the lower and the medial district.
Okay. Don't believe I can place any significance to the rat, as odd as it is. But as it stands, it will probably not last very long, as it's not going to make any attempt to drink or eat food, Huck, so what you'd like to do with it is obviously up to you.
As you move it around, a small piece of dried fruit falls out of its mouth.
It may be kinder to make a decision before it starts to degrade further, but by all means, that's obviously your choice, and you are the one who understands these kind of creatures more.
I will bring it to the forest.
If you're able to piece out any more information, I might be able to help make sense of things, but I'm grasping at straws at the moment.
Yeah. But Hux will just think about things and continue to brush the hair of the rat. Deep in thought.
Depending on how long it takes for Rhett to come back down, Evelyn would probably go back to some of her own scribbling of thoughts and equations.
Yeah, Nidus doesn't particularly want to talk.
Ah. Right.
No.
Well.
Really. So it's nice that Groma wants to come along. I don't know if that's required. Sufficient. And I also don't know how it helps anybody.
I believe as things stand, we're at a bit of a standstill then.
Perhaps. I feel like we should at least, if all of you are really against renegotiating this deal, are all of you against renegotiating the deal? Silence, actually.
I am.
Same.
What are you? Yeah.
It just seems like we'll just get a worse deal.
then I would say we should at least put things in motion to eventually be able to find and destroy this thing. I realize it's not practical right now.
That sounds reasonable.
We know what the presumed entrance to the Pen&Paper is.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. In the meantime, I can at least begin to do my own research to implement steps to keep myself from further running into dangerous situations.
Mm-hmm. What would a couple next steps to set up be for defeating such a creature?
Can I say that one more time?
What would be a couple of practical things we can do toward defeating such a creature?
We'd have to find a means of accessing the elemental plane of air and be able to survive in said plane. So research on the plane of air would be required. Becoming stronger, to put it simply, as we fought it once. When we fight it again, it will be stronger than it was when we did fight it last. It will be on its own turf, dangerous undergoing. Potentially ways to look at binding its magic, or things along the lines of keeping it in place, but probably a lot of research.
Okay.
And increasing our own abilities.
Makes sense. Was the Emporium taking orders like they used to? Toward that end, like.
No, they're not currently taking any orders. They only are selling what's currently in stock, and then she would word for word list off what was in stock.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose some of that might slightly be helpful, but not. Yeah, not really. No.
Wasn't anything that jumped out, at least for my aid, but if there's something that someone else finds of use.
So I understand it is all of our decisions not to renegotiate. What are all of your thoughts on, for example, I have the scrolls of sending now, contacting some of the wizards and attempting to acquire things such as could transport us to the plane of air, or, for example, getting their acquisitions department interested in catching such a creature, or something. This is something it seems like could interest them.
Possibly.
While we don't like them, they might know things.
But considering that we're about to go into an endeavor that is specifically geared at potentially destabilizing some of their own order, I wouldn't necessarily want any additional eyes on us at this exact moment.
I don't think they will be much help anyways. They'll probably just run away.
You're not wrong.
I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to it after we resolve this first current issue, but my concern would be we might put our current task at risk if we draw attention to ourselves.
You make a good point. I can think of one individual that does not draw attention. Would you be against me trying to contact him?
I'd have reservations based off of the. It seemed as if oh gosh, what was it called?
The
art.
Archon was attempting to overhear things.
Right, and that's my only reservation. That I don't know how much it could be into seeing into the dreams or thoughts of others, even if they were unwilling to share. That's my only reservation. Personally, obviously, everyone else can share their ideas or thoughts and opinions as well.
Any other thoughts on that?
No one wants them.
Not really.
I will consider how best to, if I decide. Okay. And then yes, I understand we need to go down. As I said, I understand the importance of that already.
We were told that when we're ready to head down, one of the silvers will be waiting for us at the entrance to the mines. I anticipate that I might attempt to bring Vint as well.
Yes, I was hoping you would. The Kanan is finished, and Vint would be the best wielder.
Wonderful. Where are we wanting to head down? Tomorrow, the day after?
I'm fine to
Thoughts?
go tomorrow.
Seems fine.
Hawks? Thoughts?
I wanted to go to the forest tomorrow.
Then we could either delay it for later in the day when you return or the day after, depending on what resources you're looking to use at the forest.
A bit of magic.
Then we could potentially set off first thing the day after.
Should be fine. Go tomorrow. I can go early in the morning.
Right. Then we'll make our preparations for tomorrow.
All right.
Okay.
Baker, I have a question that's
Mm-hmm.
far back, and I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
should have written this down. The dueling champion that I fought.
Mm-hmm.
Did I ever track down his daughter like I said I was going to?
I don't think you did,
Yeah, I realized that was probably an oversight on my part.
but that you would have easily been able to do in downtime.
I definitely meant to at the time, so.
Okay, let me write that down.
Because that's who I am thinking about contacting, as he seems the most guarded and smart and connected to the outside world there.
Mm-hmm.
and he clearly maintained a very low profile.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like something I would want to do tonight, but I don't know if I've done the part that I said I wanted. Should have. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to step
You-
away again.
Okay.
It's fine.
You would have been able to find them and ascertain that they are safe for the moment. You probably wouldn't exactly been back to them since people fell asleep, so you wouldn't know right now whether or not they are affected at all.
Yeah.
But during downtime, you would have at least been able to meet them.
Okay. I don't know how much time is left in the day. Can I? Is that sort of important? Can I like try to track that person down again to see if? I think it's she fell asleep. Senna, is what I've written down. Senna Hawkeye. Is it a 1d12 notice or something? Incidentally. I'm getting scared.
Hold on, I gotta do some quick math. Can you roll me a 1d12?
Oh no. Nine. That should be fine, right?
She is awake.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah. She
Yeah.
hasn't gone to bed yet, so she's awake in both senses.
Right. Hmm. I guess for tonight I will put up the mansion. Go in there.
Mm-hmm.
I will cast Dream to try to contact that guy, Mr. Lorenz High Garden. And I'm not going to ask him about. I mean, we can repeat if you want, but I'm not going to ask him about anything to do with Jin or Junior or anything like that. I'm just going to try to pass on the message that, you know, his daughter's fine, doing well. Wanted to pass on her love or something. Like I'm trying to be really innocuous about this in case we are overheard. And then just give an update on the exponential growth that has been seen in people getting sick in the city. And then runs through some wild theories on, you know, this is the gossip. Okay.
As you cast Dream, you start to fall asleep, and this shape of this environment of the dream starts to sort of form around you. At first, you see towers begin to rise from the ground, impossibly high, dominating the skyline around you. It almost feels like you're in a forest of these towers. And from each of these towers, you see a light beaming down, looking, searching. And you find who you're looking for as you see them sort of running in between these towers. They look significantly more through the wind than the last time you've seen them. You see them just hide between the towers, avoiding the light and hugging the walls of the very towers that are looking for them.
So, I know I'm supposed to be able to shape the dream in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Can I aid that hiding without
What do
making it
you
obvious that I'm
attempt to
there?
save?
Just basically stretching the shadows and
Mm-hmm. You sort of almost increase the size of the house to the point where the light starts to not even reach the ground.
yeah.
And as he in his panicked state starts sort of is still, running between these towers, he begins to slow down. Almost entirely engulfed in darkness now, as the light doesn't reach, he does slow down, looking around. You still see him sort of leaning against places, still looking around frantically, eyes wide open.
Mhm.
For the time, it seems like he feels like he's found a hiding spot to settle.
Is he like up against a tower?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, okay. That works even better. Can I like shift some of the bricks in the tower beside him?
Mm-hmm.
Such that like I know that I'm kind of in the dream, but also not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to even like speak to him or anything like that. I just want to take what I know of glyphs and have just like the faintest, almost like braille, so that he can feel it on the tower beside him. But it's like a magical glyph, so he knows what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and start to convey my meanings that way.
As soon as his hand would reach one of these cliffs, you'd see him turn around facing the wall, just sort of, frantically feeling the wall for these glyphs.
Mm-hmm. So I'll start to convey my meaning about first his daughter's alright, but then the meaning of the sickness and the curse overcoming the city. And then, I don't know if you can see it, I'll allow a little piece of like chalk or something to crumble off of, like, not necessarily chalk, but like a stone
Mm-hmm.
that he could easily recognize he could write with.
As he follows sort of around this tower, following these runes, as he, receives your information of the daughter and that they're okay, you can almost tell that the darkness is almost lessening. The sky itself is turning a little brighter. You can see more. It's not absolute darkness at the bottom of these towers anymore. It's almost dim light as he continues going, and then he reaches the section of where you talk to him about the sleeping plague. And there's definitely hesitation there, confusion as he continues along these runes. And as a piece of the tower breaks off, he stares at it in wonderment for a moment before he starts, almost as a test, starts carving into this wall, and then he starts writing in glyphs.
Let's see what it says. So I'm trying to be very careful not to say or mentally impart anything like directly into his mind. You get what I'm doing? If he's just stumbling across a tower in a dream. It seems like something he does regularly. It's my take on it. I don't know if there's like a deception check or a performance check, or if someone's watching is what I'm kind of asking here. Or like how well I'm doing this to weave my dream into his regular.
Changing the sort of shape and manipulating the dream would be relatively easy for you. If you wanted to, you could, change the environment entirely.
Right. I'm saying if someone's watching, I'm trying to make it not obvious that I'm communicating.
Okay.
So I don't know, like, what kind of role is that? Like a deception role that I'm deceiving the observer? I don't know if there is an observer, but you get what I'm asking. Like, should I roll something here? Like, there's a crazy guy in a
say
dream.
you could do deception or you could do performance.
I think I'll take performance. Feels more performative. 22. And then what is he responding with?
This is what you would carve onto the wall.
Sheesh. The best I can respond to that is to agree, and then as far as like a get out, help yourself, help us, help everyone, and then try to impart to him that the plane of fire is safe, and it's the only way to safely move. That's the best to my knowledge.
As soon as
Helpful.
more runes appear, almost frantically his hands reach for them and he drops the stone. It just sort of follows along for everything that you impart upon him.
Mhm.
As he reaches the end, he stops and he picks up the stone again and he begins carving.
I keep thinking about what Gromo said about these people being like psychos and I'm like, oh yeah, right.
Fucking... It's censored anus. It's Arcanus.
I am back.
Yeah. Arcanus, got it.
Arcanus.
No.
My god.
I don't know if I have any other helpful information for him.
Give me a history check.
Yeah. Oh, natural 20.
The
Ooh.
only other individual that you know would be able to help that situation would be Orve, who you know is also there, is capable, and is the only other person that likely is on your side in this.
Right.
But whether or not you want to reveal that to him, up to you. But that's the only other thing I believe you know currently that could help.
I don't know if I really want to reveal that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but Orvate isn't the one who made the like portals in the fire plant. It was the other wizard in Polythreme. What's
No,
his
that
name?
was Vidar. Vidar laid the anchors that you traveled along. The other wizard
Was it?
was at the council he was talking about that.
Yeah.
Likely after Vidar had talked to him about it. And he was proposing using those to reconnect people. But the one
Right.
who had laid the
It was Vidar.
anchors to Hytio was Vidar.
Okay. Oh, with a natural 20 on history, can I sketch out, since I'm using runes, the like teleportation sigil to one of those rings near hiking? To the best of my ability, that a
Yeah, you
18th level wizard might be able to put
definitely
together the rest.
remember at least, maybe not in exact detail, but most of the runes, the circles, and the forms that you'd seen. and you could replicate that with a dream.
I think that's a pretty good start. We'll leave it there.
Okay.
Because, yeah, he's a highly intelligent wizard. Yeah.
So at the end of the runes, the sort of circle form appears, and you see him reaching for it, and as you realize it's not more runes that are appearing. You see him slowly tracing the form and then sitting down on the ground and just staring at it.
I'll leave the connection open for a while in case he does like try to ask more, but I don't think I want to do this.
I don't think anything more of import will happen. You probably see the wizard sort of writing out some of the runes of the circle on the wall, but none that really form any words that seem intended for you.
Yeah.
And then after a while, the dream lifts.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm assuming you had to sleep. Actually,
I'm already asleep. Yeah.
dream some dreams of your own.
Oh god. Can't wait for this to happen to me one day.
Okay.
Like, oh no.
So everyone has a long rest, and of course you are free to prepare for the day however you would have liked. Is anything you do before going to sleep, or do you do all of it in the morning? Then you awaken fairly early in the day, probably just as the early rays of morning light barely touch your rooms for only a few moments. You awaken.
We'll get ready to go to the forest.
Do you all meet up before then, or does Huxley just leave early and return throughout the day?
Like he wouldn't sneak away, but he would get up really early and just kind of leave.
Would anyone else wake up that early?
I don't think so.
Island's probably awake, but not out of her room.
Yeah. Then likely you'd wake up and casually meander towards leaving. It probably takes you a few of the early morning hours to just leave the city. It is massive in size, and as you make your way to the lower district and out one of the gates, then past the refugee city that has sprung up, you make your way all the way to the forest. The edge of the forest, much like last time to the north of Polythreme, is largely cut back further than you've seen this forest before. And you don't have that same sense of smell, that sweetness, that decay. You know that the autumn grove is gone. And as you enter the forest, it is just that, regular forest.
I will bring the rat as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just kind of walk a bit into the forest until I see like a nice big old tree.
Somewhat quickly as you enter the the tree line, there's already thick underbrush and larger trees. As the forest has been cut back, you don't find much of this borderland of forest that would be more sparse, that would be more open. Immediately as you enter where the old forest begins, the thicket, where the center would have been at one point, but now is simply the forest in its entirety.
And I will do the same ritual again of presenting a bunch of offerings.
Mm-hmm. You place offerings around the gnarled trunk of a fairly old oak, and you cast divination with which question?
I think just the same question again. Is there any being that we can contact that can help us against or undo the consequences of Evelyn's wish?
Double check what the options were of response. Do I feel like doing a cryptic ride right now? the rhyme you receive through the rustling of leaves.
Just think about it for a bit. And then I will cast Speak with Plants
Mm-hmm.
and ask again if they know if there's a god of trees.
A god of trees. There is none, but god of growth, of life, of both wild and growth. Two-headed, growing, wild, then saw
Do you know where that god is?
everywhere in growth, in beast, wild,
Yes. Do you know what to do with this rat?
the forest, take and give, growth and growth, roots and root, growth and plant.
Hugs will sit there just thinking for a while.
Mm-hmm.
She'll just go back home. She will take the rat.
Okay. And you return with the rat to Polythreme. At this point, it would probably be late morning, early noon by the time you return to Quartermains, where I'm assuming everyone is set and getting ready.
At some point, I'm gonna let people know. I had a productive interaction with one of the wizards.
Oh,
I didn't speak to him, nor did he to me, verbally or with our minds. His dream was very disturbed, but I did my best to stay in the shadow with communicating through the dream itself, not communicating directly. Nonetheless, seems things are getting a lot worse in Arcanus. He's specifically looking to leave as soon as possible. Says he can't stay. I'll let him know that Plane of Fire seemed his best option to transport. And didn't tell him anything else about, anything crazy going on here or anything that we're doing. Just that his daughter's alright. Plane of Fire is the best way out. Gave him some hints on one of Vadar's circles, if that's helpful to him. But hopefully he can get out and we can actually talk to him, because I guess it's getting a lot worse there.
that's and I suppose it's good that we're making our way forward.
I wonder if Gromo's change might have changed something with the Archon. If the silver consents itself or something, you know what I mean?
It's entirely possible. We're working with something that's relatively unknown, so there's a lot of elements that could be there.
In any case, he was eager to get out and seemed at least vaguely interested in helping his daughter, which presumably might mean helping the city. Who knows? So, yeah.
Right.
As to the task at hand, is there anything else we need to do to prepare?
We have potions, we have sufficient resources. There's not much else that I can think of particularly. I've spoken with Ethel about treating to Endor, make sure he's still receiving some form of sustenance.
Yeah, that's good.
I suppose that's mostly it. Once we're all ready to go, we could head out.
Okay. Seems fine to me.
Is Hux back at this point in time?
Yeah, Hux would arrive.
And Hux, you're finished with the forest?
Yes. They said that only far below above a side can reach. You know what that means.
Well, we're at least heading far below.
Yes.
Helpful. I still don't quite understand why the rat's important. seems like a hint that I'm just too stupid to get. You ever get those feelings?
The trees are quite. The trees. But they know what's important, but it's hard to understand them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
think
feel like
that's
that all the
one way.
time.
The whole poem.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason. I think we should put a rat. We should kill it.
Right. Something. Is that something we want to take care of before we head down then, Hux? Or how? What makes you feel most comfortable in this? I could take care of it if you want me to.
I mean, as long as it's quick.
I easily enough done.
It just costs a lot of money to resurrect it.
I mean, maybe it is in some way. It could preserve the remains in case, for some reason, something reminds us later on of.
Yeah, that's
I have
yeah.
no idea, but.
Oh,
the
preserving
priest thinks
remains
about it.
is easily enough done. If you give me a short time, I could take care of that for you if you like. Don't. If you don't.
How do you attempt to preserve this rat?
Probably, in... She'd probably do, like, the whole, like, in a jar with liquids to kind of keep it preserved thing. In that manner.
Okay. You you put it in while it's alive? Or?
No.
Okay, I was just checking.
She'd probably do... like a quick through the back of the spine kind of cut with like a scalpel kind of a thing near the neck, and then place it in the jar.
As you kill him, you again see no reaction to the blade. Even as you sever part of its spine, there's no real spasm or anything like that. It simply stops breathing. And you submerge it in the jar.
Right. That should suffice for the time being. Should we head out then?
Yes.
Wonderful. That makes things easier. Let's go. I'm taking Vinto might be a bit of a fuss, but people should get past it quickly enough, like they used to. Shall move to direct Vint out of the workshop and start heading down to the mines.
Mm-hmm. Especially with everything that's happened. Vin's figure moving through Polythreme does elicit a response from the crowd wherever they see him. There's definitely a mixture of fear and avoidance as you move through the streets. But as you are purpose bound, as you move through these streets relatively quickly, there is not that much an alarm that goes through people's minds. There are probably a few instances of the Polythreme guard appearing sort of on the sidelines of the streets, coming out of alleyways, observing, but never really stepping out or interfering as you make your way to an old mine shaft. You arrive at its entrance. Before the Coalers Coalition had expanded the infrastructure and consolidated the entrance to the mines to one location, these sort of mine shafts used to be all across the city. These almost square, small buildings containing nothing but a chain lift. Almost all of them are now closed and demolished, though a few of them are rumored to remain, largely used to access the bowels for smuggling operations and other criminal activity. But the mineshaft before you, and by extension its chain lift, while they look old, they look surprisingly well maintained. And as you may have expected, by its side you see one of the Silver Guardians.
Oh yeah, did we have to get the cannon, or did you have the cannon, or?
You could have easily, gotten
Okay.
the cannon. At the moment, it has 10 charges. It is fully charged, but it is no longer mounted.
It doesn't mention it. Is it possible to recharge it?
Once you remount it. Oh, you mean like?
Like with spells?
I haven't fully worked that out yet.
Okay, no worries.
Just trying to look
I
at the
doubt-
balance, but
Yeah, I doubt we'll get through 10. It probably doesn't matter.
probably give you a separate thing for that.
I am really sleepy right now. Are we approaching a good point for a cut, maybe?
Well, as you finally descend down into the mines, this is a perfect place to end for tonight.
Hey.
Because it is getting late.
Yay!
And we finally arrived at what I actually prepped. Oh my god. Was it another
Two sessions. Yeah.
You guys
I
are-
mean,
you guys are bombarding my improvisation skills, I swear to god.
we did tell you we were gonna try to solve it next session.
Yeah, well, it's
so-
like, oh, they're gonna do like an hour or two, maybe. Didn't expect it
It's
to be
really important that we solve it.
What do you mean you don't have a cryptic poem prepped for every tree that I want to
Right?
talk
For
to?
every like obscure question that
Like,
that you could possibly ask.
How did you not
Okay.
expect us reviving a rat?
That was it's rough to be cryptic and also be very
Yeah.
careful about what would they know, and I can't give you guys
Obviously.
too much on this one. It's but yeah, it's an interesting path that you took, and it definitely puts some upcoming things into a different perspective. So I'm curious to see that.
Nice.
But yeah.